Shivers run down your spine. You break into a cold sweat. Your heart begins to pound. You are afraid tonight on Scariest Places on Earth, Greyfriars Cemetery. A haunted abyss of tortured spirit. The Eaton family's night of terror draws near.
I would say, don't do this. Don't do this.
A desert mansion reveals its secrets.
This is a very strange place.
She told me that it pushed her down the stairs.
A nightmare in an Irish castle.
How that man can live in that castle with a little child.
I was scared when I heard about some of the stories.
Makes a place scary? Is it not knowing what lurks around the next corner? At Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh, Scotland, the world-famous statue of a dog known as Greyfriars Bobby is a benign and welcoming sight. The dog almost seems to be protecting the cemetery. Tourists come from all over to see the statue, but when they enter the graveyard, they're on their own, with nothing to defend them.
Edinburgh, Scotland. Greyfriars Cemetery, known the world over as home to the loyal Scottish Terrier Bobby.
The little dog's buried out there, so he's about the only nice person in the graveyard.
Greyfriars Cemetery, a haunted abyss of tortured spirit.
Very frightening in there.
No, I wouldn't go in there on my own.
It was something not right, something in that churchyard.
I would not go in there at night on my own, not a chance.
The whole thing kind of freaks me out.
Many visitors have been attacked by evil spirits.
While I've been doing the tours, I've had people coming out with bruises and scratches.
And it was just, the most terrifying thing. When I think of it now, it still gives me chills.
For almost 400 years, Greyfriars has been a cauldron of diabolical activity.
Greyfriars Graveyard started as a valley and is now a hill. It's basically a mountain of bodies. That's what you're looking at when you see it. There are so many bodies packed into the earth inside the graveyard that when it rains, the water pressure forces them back up again and you find bones coming back through the surface.
In 1649, the Black Plague held Edinburgh in a terrifying grip.
One Victorian estimate is that 2% of the population were buried alive. They were so scared of disease, any excuse you were in the ground. You could faint and wake up in a coffin. And you'd find some coffins in Greyfriars would have little bells inside, so that the person woke up and he had a little bell that he could ring so that people would hear him on the surface, which of course was stupid because he was a few feet under. Nobody was going to hear him.
The plague was just the beginning of Greyfriars' grisly history.
There's a locked section at the back of the graveyard called the Covenanters' Prison.
Covenanters, Scottish Protestants who defied King Charles I.
He was trying to impose English-style worship on Scotland. The Scots weren't having it. The ones who absolutely refused to recant their position were executed just outside Greyfriars Wall and then buried back inside again.
In 1998, the tormented spirits of Greyfriars were unleashed by an uninvited guest.
Apparently what happened was that late at night, raining, a homeless guy came into the graveyard looking for somewhere to shelter. He crawled into one of these to get out of the rain, found a grill in the floor. You know, he's a brave guy. He lifts up the grill and goes down. There's a flight of stairs. He goes down the stairs, and he fell through a partition, a sort of wooden covering on the floor of the tomb, and into another smaller room underneath. And the room is filled with bodies. We're talking arms, legs, heads, the works. Of course, this somewhat scares him. He shoots back out of the tomb, crawls back through, and away he goes.
The vagrant had cracked open the tomb of George Mackenzie, releasing a spirit that had been trapped for 3 centuries.
Now, this horrible resonating tomb is the tomb of George Mackenzie, or Bloody Mackenzie.
Bloody George Mackenzie. The man who turned a churchyard into a death camp.
One of the fascinating things about Greyfriars is that the man responsible for 18,000 Covenanter deaths, George Mackenzie, is buried right next to the men that he killed.
He's got a very big, grand tomb, about maybe, 30 yards from where he committed all those atrocities against the Covenanters.
At night, George Mackenzie posted 2 guards on the gates of the Covenanters' prison. Everyone was made to lie on the ground inside. We're talking in wintertime, frost. If anyone stood up, they had 2 snipers at the gates to shoot at them.
So that would suggest to me there's a bit of bad karma.
Since the disturbance of the crypt, 63 visitors have been mysteriously attacked near Mackenzie's tomb.
People go in, they fall down unconscious, they come out scratched, they come out cut. There's no doubt about it.
2 young women came to Greyfriars as doubters, but left as believers.
I've always been sceptical towards ghosts, supernatural. I just thought a bit of a laugh, go on a tour, hear the stories and go and laugh about it in the pub afterwards. We went around Edinburgh, we heard little bits of stories about old ghost stories and things, and then we ended up at Greyfriars Churchyard.
We were in the graveyard, and at first it was all, quite fun. Everyone was kind of giggling and making jokes about it and everything, and we went in and the guy was telling stories, and I started to feel a bit nervous at this point, having been a complete skeptic, thinking nothing's going to happen, it's going to be fine, of course.
There was something not right. It's difficult to put your finger on it. Everyone was nervous.
I can't really describe the feeling. It was just a feeling of unease.
And just as we got towards the doorway of the tomb, everybody got this, it was almost like a feeling of electricity going through people. It was really made you jump. It was a horrible, horrible experience.
It started to get cold, basically, really cold. And I was kind of clinging to my mum at this point. And then, all at once, I felt this, it was like someone had brushed me down my arm. And I felt really sick. And I was like, Mum, I'm getting out of here, I have to go. Ran out the gates, and I was kind of out here like this,
and this woman just went smack. She hit the ground and passed out.
And the next day, I woke up in the morning, and when I looked in the mirror, I had bruises on my face, like someone had scraped my face like that, so it was like finger marks on my face, and a scratch, kind of red scratch mark down my arm. And I'm never, ever going to do anything like that ever again.
Reverend Colin Grant was immediately summoned to exorcise the demons.
My father found when he went there was a vast combination of different manifestations and feelings.
2 local newspaper reporters attended the exorcism.
We met Colin Grant must have been about 11:30 at night, and just outside the gates of the graveyard.
And it was quite creepy. The graveyard was obviously very black, and the moon was hidden, and the wind had whipped up.
He went round, set up every single small candle and put them in a big circle.
He then put 2 crosses inside that circle as a strong protection against any malevolence that was close by.
And he turned around and said to me, "You look scared." And I suppose I was a wee bit. I was a bit nervous and a bit kind of wasn't quite sure what to expect or what was going to happen.
And one of the odd things that occurred on the night was that when they tried to light the candles, they couldn't light them because there was the wind. Eventually they got them lit, and as soon as he started to do his process, his exorcism, the candles stood erect. The flames were perfectly upright, although the wind hadn't stopped.
He went through his ceremony and he did what he knew he had to do.
It took 20 minutes, and then he just literally laid down his Bible, blew out the candles and came over to us and said that the area had been made safe.
But a photograph taken after the ceremony suggested otherwise.
Inside the window of the church, there's a shadow, and it's basically a sort of head and shoulders. We went back the next day to check in the window. There's nothing in the window that could have caused the shadow, and it's very strange. So it started off as a joke going, look, we've got a ghost, having a laugh. And the next day it was front page saying, what is this shape? Why is it there? Does anybody know what it is?
Perhaps the ghostly spectre was delivering a warning.
Scarily enough, he said, I think this exorcism has taken a lot out of me. I think it will probably kill me. A couple of weeks later, his wife rang and told us that he'd died.
A lot of people associated that act that he did, the exorcism he did, with his passing.
Undaunted by its demonic presence, the curious continued to visit Greyfriars.
I'm still really, really cold and just shaking.
As the attacks persist, Colin Grant Jr. is compelled to complete his father's exorcism.
Shortly after conducting an exorcism to drive evil spirits from Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh, Scotland, Minister Colin Grant died. Some believe that whatever forces Grant battled at Greyfriars were so powerful that they killed him. Now Colin Grant's son, who is also a minister, has come back to finish the job his father started.
In the 17th century, Greyfriars Churchyard became a death camp for Scottish Protestants known as the Covenanters.
They were hunted like outlaws, and women, children were executed. Women especially, they were given a choice. Recant or be burned.
Overlooking the Covenanters' mass grave stands the tomb of their tormentor, bloody George Mackenzie.
There's always been a legend that George Mackenzie cannot rest in peace in his tomb, in his coffin, because of what he did to the Covenanters.
By 1999, Greyfriars Churchyard had become a vortex of malevolent spirit activity.
I've had people coming out with bruises and scratches, marks on them. I've had loads of people fainting.
The most recent blackout that occurred on the tours was 2 weeks ago. We had an American guy and he blacked out. We were just inside the Covenanters prison. He grabbed onto one of his friends and fell over, and I was just lying there on the ground.
I actually went to Jan, my boss, and said that I was going to quit because I was too scared to go in there anymore.
Hoping to quell the spirits, Reverend Colin Grant performed an exorcism. 2 weeks later, he was dead.
Whatever it is that's in here, we call it a poltergeist. It might try and push you around a bit.
Despite the dangers, visitors are still drawn to Greyfriars.
There's a few different manifestations of it. But before we go in there, I'd just like to ask a couple of questions first. Is anyone on the tour pregnant or thinks they might be pregnant? Because if you are, I would not come in here. Okay? Other things, if anyone suffers from panic attacks or severe anxiety attacks or anything like that, do not come in here. Right, is everyone okay then? If you're being pushed or attacked or shoved or kicked or strangled or punched by something that just isn't there, please tell me immediately. Okay? So, if you'd all like to come with me, we'll go into the Black Mausoleum. Right to the very back, please push right into the back and into the edges, thanks. John Hayes, who hid in there from the police. He was a failed highwayman. He got caught and broke out of prison, and he hid in the bottom of Mackenzie's tomb for about 6 months. When he came out, he was totally insane. He said that the coffins never stayed in the same place for a night because the man was so evil, his body can't rest in peace.
My friend's just run out.
Your friend's just run out. Is she okay? Sorry, if you guys could just wait a second, I'm just going to see this lady quickly. What's wrong? What are you feeling?
I don't know, I just really got really cold. And I was holding on to Susan and I couldn't feel her anymore, and I was just really cold. And I started to feel sick, and I had to get out basically, and I was just so cold, like I'm still like really cold and just shaking.
Until now, the Reverend Colin Grant's son has refused to return to Greyfriars.
The Edinburgh paper suggested a couple of times would have liked to go back, and the phrase like was there, but not really.
The recent attacks have compelled Colin to complete his father's work in spite of his family's concerns.
When I said I was going to go up there, they asked me not to because we were just being cautious. I don't like the word evil, but there is a strong spiritual presence in the graveyard. There feels to be an energy, is all I can describe it from the gate. I would deduce from this stage that would be the way my father left it. When you go towards the gates of the Covenanters area, the feeling within that is definitely darker, definitely more powerful. There's been continuous acts of torture, violence. There's an energy from the place that I could feel from about, I would say, 6 feet in.
In spite of a foreboding evil presence, Colin proceeds with the exorcism.
And God shall wipe away all their tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for these former things are passed away. Purpose of that process, as I call it, would be to diminish and seal any residual energies which people of a psychic nature could use. That's the sealing part. I would now ask you, Lord, to cleanse this place, to calm this place, to seal this place. Amen.
Was the exorcism a success? A week later, the tours resumed.
I'm still wary of going in there. There's a lot of very strange things, and I think some of it has to be supernatural. Fear is the most powerful emotion. It's basically what keeps the animal kingdom going, is fear of not existing anymore. Some people say it's an energy force or something.
The spirits remain defiant.
For some reason the gate on the Black Mausoleum crashed. I'm not sure what it was because I had my back to it. That's never happened to me before. I'm not sure if it's happened to the other guides, but that was the first time, and it was really scary.
The Covenanters' prison is now off limits to the public.
I'd never go back in there again. There's something in there, and I don't want to experience that sort of thing again. I've never been so scared in my whole life.
Members of the Eaton family from Gloucester, Massachusetts are a long way from home and security. They have traveled deep into a Louisiana bayou and will soon be at the doorstep of Magnolia Lane, the centuries-old plantation laced with a history of voodoo ritual, tragic deaths, and evil. Will they be able to confront whatever dark forces are there and make it through the night?
This is the beginning of your journey. We begin at the water, where all life begins. However, the water here has far more to do with death than with life. It isn't a game. And it isn't a joke, and it isn't a show. What you will experience tonight is real. And believe me, real is much more frightening than storybook. Welcome to Magnolia Lane. So far you've been in the light. Beyond here's the dark. Had I a choice, I would say, don't to anybody, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Now, I think it's time to walk the path. Walk slowly. Because I know that you think you can only see spirit in houses, much as though you may wish them not to be. They will be around you all night. They'll be everywhere. Follow the path to the house. Are you ready to do this?
The Eaton family faces their fears and walks through the woods to Magnolia Lane.
Steph? Yep. Hold on. Why? All right.
What's the matter?
Here's the deal.
No, we gotta go right over there.
Just go.
Just follow me.
Here's the deal. We're wicked.
We're gonna go right.
Smoggy,
Yep.
And we can't see very well. So let's...
What's this?
It's an altar. These are the altar seat. Looks like a Native American altar of some sort.
That is native. It looks native.
I'm not quite sure what all this is, but it's...
Hear that?
Awfully smoggy. All right. Careful, Dad. Watch your step right there.
You can hear it.
You hearing things out there?
Yeah.
Huh?
Sticks breaking.
Sticks breaking and stuff? See something out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. Yep, you're right. Yeah, graveyard.
You still can see through that? Can anybody see through this part of this?
No. I am getting really hot.
How you doing, Kim?
All right.
Doing?
Okay, we're doing. That's great.
How you guys doing?
No, I can't see where I'm going.
There it is.
I'm cool right where I am, and I'm not going anywhere near that little house right there. Cindy, what is that right there, the clothes? Yeah, I don't think we are either. Steph, I'm with you. Let's go back the other way. I'm hearing things. Yeah, I am too. Guys, come on. Can we please go? I'm hearing things.
I'll go ahead. The Eaton family of Gloucester, Massachusetts takes the final step on their journey to Magnolia Lane Plantation.
Oh my God, what are they doing to my family?
Will the family survive?
I heard things, I saw things, I want to go home.
Miles from nowhere in the high desert of New Mexico, you'll find Dorsey Mansion. One half rough-hewn log cabin, the other half an elaborately carved stone castle. This confusion of styles reflects the disturbed man who originally built the house and whose spirit is said to haunt its unhallowed halls to this day.
Dorsey Mansion, Springer, New Mexico.
This is a very strange place. It is a very strange location for a big house to boot.
In 1878, during construction, former U.S. Senator Stephen Dorsey started leaving his macabre mark everywhere on his mansion.
He had gargoyles placed on the castle to resemble his archenemies. It has his face on it. It has his wife's face on it. He may not have lived here the longest, but everything that is here is something that he put his mark on.
Dorsey paid for it all by lying and stealing his way from Washington, D.C. to New Mexico.
We knew it was built by Stephen Dorsey. We didn't know that he was a scoundrel and a rogue. He did a lot of things that were not necessarily good.
Dorsey abandoned his mansion in 1882. 100 years later, the property was purchased from the state of New Mexico.
The caretakers that worked for the state of New Mexico wouldn't stay or sleep in the house.
I felt somebody come and just shake me, trying to wake me up, and turned sideways. and looked, and there was nothing there. The next 2 nights, I spent the night in my pickup. I didn't want to even stay in this place.
There were always noises, unexplained noises here. I mean, it was never ending, constant stuff.
I was walking down this hallway, and I heard some music playing, and people were talking and laughing and carrying on like there was a party going on. But there was no one here but me.
Strange encounters may have forced some to leave the mansion.
My first caretaker at the Dorsey Mansion resigned sort of abruptly because of the ghost or spirit here in the mansion. She told me that it pushed her down the stairs, these stairs.
Then the rumors started to circulate about the Dorsey Mansion, that it was slowly eating up all these caretakers. It was not a very nice place to be, and something was going on.
Could this have been the ghost of Stephen Dorsey or the activity of other troubled spirits?
Stephen Dorsey and his family left. Shortly thereafter, this did become a TB sanitarium. There's a good possibility that several people could have died while they were here.
It is rumored that the spirits in the mansion drove one of Dorsey's workers to murder a Native American.
There was a fight, and one of the laborers did die. One of the caretakers found a skull in the basement.
The skull didn't have any hair on it or anymore or nothing, but it did have a bullet hole, a small hole right here on the forehead, and it was bigger back here where the bullet came out.
Quite possibly, it's the spirits of the Native American people.
Despite all efforts, the spirits were still plaguing the mansion.
We've tried various ways to send the ghosts away or what, but nothing's really worked.
As a last resort, a Navajo Nation shaman has been called for guidance.
I hope the shaman will put the spirits to rest, that it'll be a quiet and peaceful house to live in, and the surrounding areas will be the same.
2 photographers are brought in to document the shaman ritual.
I'm not much of a believer. Of course, I've met people that have had experiences. However, I think that you can pretty much rationally find an explanation for it.
But I believe in ghosts. Something's got to be left behind, you know, like especially in a bad situation.
Without knowledge of the mansion's past history, the shaman investigates claims of paranormal activity.
Something happened here, it seems like. There's all these little feeling of irregularities, and something has happened on this side as well. There's another passageway or doorway that leads to darkness. It's black. Something very, very strong. I'm getting shaky. And usually I don't get shaky. I don't know what's behind the door. I really don't know.
Do you think that we're in danger?
Danger is where we upset the balance. Human being upsets that balance. I sense that in that little corner, because there's like a little block of blackness. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. I want to get out of here. There's something down there. Perhaps in the lower ground itself, or maybe the wall, maybe. Well, I got out of there, that's for sure.
I think he's like hit on everything. If he never heard the stories of Dorsey Mansion, and so he walks in and he knows the exact points, then I think that that's something.
I don't know what happened. There's tension. Maybe it's the dividing of the land, maybe. People have died innocently.
The cleansing ceremony begins.
think has happened here today? Do you think you've cleansed my house, my property of the spirits?
The cleansing is always very important for us individually. Only human being can upset that balance. To them, the spirits believe that this is their place. I'm not asking them to. It's for us to leave.
Could be anywhere in here. I felt like there was some sort of presence in the house. I got real shaky. I couldn't stop trembling, and I just wanted to get out, and I still want to get out.
They're still guarding their land, and we're trespassing on their land.
I think I'm okay with that. I've lived here already for 12 years. I love the place. I guess if I can't have all the other stuff, we'll have to be okay.
It's not going nowhere.
Leap Castle has been the site of some of the grisliest murders in Ireland's history. Since 1991, the castle has belonged to the Ryan family, but the ghosts who also dwell there don't see it that way. When the Ryans discovered that spirits were secretly communicating with their 10-year-old daughter, they decided to take action to try and unravel the mystery of Leap. But there was one question the Ryans hadn't considered. Who is the real master of Leap Castle?
County Tipperary, Ireland. Leap Castle. Since the 14th century, Leap Castle has been a fortress of torment and terror.
The stories that circulate around that castle are remarkable.
There's something in that place. It's evil.
I would never go near that castle again. It's too spooky a place, no way.
When you think of all the terrible murders that have been carried out there over the years, it's not surprising it's haunted.
A literal history of blood.
Originally built to defend the locals, Leap Castle became a weapon used against them.
It wasn't a nice place. We all know about Cromwell arriving here in Ireland to subdue the rebellion. Cromwellian forces arrived at Leap Castle in 1649. They massacred men, women and children. Young fellas brought in there and flogged, and a lot of them were hanged. One brother killed the other, killed the priest on the altar. That place is haunted anyway.
In the summer of 1998, the Ryan family moved into Leap Castle.
I think they're mad. Mad.
And how that man can live in that castle with a little child.
I thought we were crazy, and all the local people said, surely you don't mean to live in it. Well, we heard stories, all sorts of massacres and killings and family feuds and down through the centuries.
I was a little bit scared when I heard about some of the stories.
We're now in what is known as the Bloody Chapel. There have been many, many killings. 29 MacMahons were actually killed up here in this room. The oubliette, which is over here, which is principally, it's the dungeon. It had quite a long shaft. It was spiked, and it also, it had a door as well, so there was absolutely no coming out. They found then that there was quite a lot of human bones, and it's recorded that they took 2 cartloads, which would be horse cartloads, of bones out of it.
I didn't know anything about ghosts or spirits or anything else until we actually came to live here. And I've seen mostly shadows. Very often you'd notice a shadow go across the doorway or something like that, or you'd feel that there was somebody in the room with you. I very often think maybe Sean's there and I'm talking away to him, and then I realise there's nobody in the room.
The Ryan's daughter was the first to make contact.
I was sitting on the floor and I was doing a jigsaw, and Mommy and Daddy were talking, and I saw one of them going up the stairs, and I said to Mommy that there was a girl going up the stairs, and she didn't believe me for a long time, and then when she saw it herself, she believed me. They're like a normal person, except they're white and you can't see through them. One of them is taller, one of them is smaller, and they play with each other and they run after each other. They look like they're shouting and screaming at each other, but you can't actually hear them.
There's two little girls, we know quite a good bit about them. They're from the early 1600s. There was Charlotte and Emily.
4 centuries ago, the little girl named Emily met a tragic end.
Somebody who came here, that they had a vision of one of the girls falling from the top of the castle.
They've heard the scream, that was of Emily. Yeah, Emily falling. People who have come in have seen Emily fall and heard her screaming.
I think that they should live here because it's their house as well, and just because we live here doesn't mean they can't.
But not all the spirits of Leap are as innocent as Charlotte and Emily.
We had heard stories from local people that there was this sort of this creature that could be seen on the stairs. It was called the Elemental.
The story about it is that this half human, half sheep announces itself with this horrific smell.
We've discovered that it's the elemental ghost, the size of a sheep, and the face is human. But the worst thing of all is the stench of it. It's seemingly the smell of rotting corpses.
To search for the elemental, the Ryans call upon a pair of druids, mystic seers from an ancient cult.
There's a power point that rises up. It's like a column of energy.
Don't know what it is. It's not nice. Yeah, smell decay.
The druids burp to prevent the spirits from possessing them.
There's something here. This is a very powerful place.
The druids believe that only a shaman can heal the tormented spirits of the castle.
When people like me do that healing, it takes the form of connecting with the spirit that has had this traumatic experience and listening and acknowledging their scream. If something very traumatic, very emotional happens in a place where there is strong earth energy, then the imprint of the emotions of that happening are held in the place for a long period of time afterwards. The sound of this old Irish drum again would be familiar to the old spirits of the house.
The shaman made the spirits' wishes known to the family.
There were many, many spirits, but they were very unsettled. You could hear screaming in the background, and they didn't seem at all happy.
They asked for 3 favours. One was not to put any wooden shutters in the windows up in the chapel. The other one was not ever to lock this door here. And the third one was not to panel up this area over here, because they like to move in and out there.
I never locked that door down.
We've complied with the rest of the requests.
The Rhine family has yet to learn if the spirits of Lepp Castle will rest in peace.
We made a deal and we're going to keep it now.
Yeah, I do think the spirits will be here for a long time after when we are all gone and dead, and the next people who live in the castle will probably come back to haunt them too.
So what makes a place scary? Is it not knowing what lurks around the next corner, what lies behind the walls, or what waits for us to go to sleep at night? Most often, it isn't what we can see, but what we cannot, the unknown. And that's what you'll find in the scariest places on Earth. I'm Linda Blair. Good night.